Hey everyone, welcome back to JUCO Jam. I'm Nick Nielsen, filling in for Brandon Goebel. We got Coach Isaac Fontenot-Amedee from Midland. Did I get it close? Did I get the name close?
And you got it
Amedee?
perfect. You got
All
it
right.
perfect. I'm shocked. First
All
time.
right. All right, Coach. You're going to get a lot of questions today. You're going to get some bonus questions, probably the most questions we've ever asked any coach. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into the rewind. We're going to talk about some of the games that happened last week. You know the players, you know these teams. You're going to give us a lot better insight than what Brandon and I can do. All right.
I don't know about that.
Game number one, we're going to talk about last Thursday. Snow comes into West Texas. They beat South Plains 88-83 in overtime. Snow out rebounded South Plains 41-29. Brock McClure with 22 and 11 for Snow. And the Badger leader, McCaden Adams, 20 points on 12 out of 16 free throws. South Plains was led in scoring by Zion Pipkin with 22, hit 5 out of 7 threes. And the big man from Togo, I thought he was really impressive. He had 9 and 9. Alex Metahuto. I think he's just a really intriguing prospect. Coach, what did you think about that matchup between Snow and South Plains?
Well, I was going back and forth between that one and the Howard game because we had Mineral the next day. I was really impressed with Snow, but I watched their game against Indian Hills as well. I just have all the respect in the world for how they operate. It's not free to travel to all these places. They make sure it's in their budget. They find a way to get down there. They don't run from competition. And that's why they sit on top of the polls. I'll say something controversial, but I don't mind. I think Snow should be ranked number one in the latest poll based off their schedule and their background from the last couple of years, man. I was really impressed. I will say this for South Plains. Their schedule was more back ended into December. Cinco and I talked last week, and that's just kind of what he was left with. Some of the games that were scheduled, he wasn't able to uphold, in between the coaching change. So he had to kind of fill in the gaps. And there were some spots where he didn't get as many games in November as other guys did. I don't know the exact amount of games they had going in. I think it was only like 6 or 7 though, and that makes a big difference. It is kind of like a race in November. We all played a ton of games, but it was a very interesting game. And I thought, South Plains fought back. It was really good. Obviously, overtime game. Um, Snow had the guys that were able to finish it. You could tell they've kind of been in a couple more battles. But if those teams played again a couple months from now, who knows what would happen? It was a great game.
South Plains has a great ability to come back. Like one of the things that I've seen this year is they find themselves down like 10 points, it seems like in every game in the second half. And they're like, all right, we're down 10 minutes to go, time to go. And they've gotten themselves, back in most of the games. But I think they got some resiliency brewing down there.
They do, and Cinco Boone is one of the more underrated coaches in junior college. Man, what he did in Angelo State, his coaching pedigree, man. I would just say Google him to anybody because he's a great coach and even better person. So I think they're going to be in the mix. They're going to be super competitive this year.
And then I'm going to give you some real low hanging fruit. Friday, we had two big games in the country. Midland gets a big win, 89-79 over a really good Mineral area team. You guys were 24 out of 28 from the free throw line. That's something Brandon and I always talk about. Antoine Boherns with 27 and 8 for you. For Mineral, Nasir Binion with 26, hit 11 out of 13 from the field. Nazir Allen, one of the guys that kind of all the coaches are talking about at the Division I level with 14 and 7. You guys were tremendous defensively, held Mineral to 5 out of 28 from three. And I think they kind of kept the game closer than maybe it looked like. They only had 11 turnovers. But just give me some thoughts on what it was like playing Mineral Area. That's another team like Snow that's played an unbelievably difficult schedule.
They have, man. All the respect goes out to them. We kind of used our travel and schedule money to go play in the jamborees, but these teams, shoot, they get all over the country. I give him a ton of respect. Howard's obviously really tough. It's a difficult place to play. To turn around and play us again on Friday, the second half. All I could say when the game ended, I told Coach how hard his kids played. I thought on Friday they could have hung with just about anybody in the country. I thought they were tough, they were physical, they were just grimy. They did the things that win junior college games. I was really impressed with their effort and their grit. I think they were a little shell shocked on Thursday. Howard, first home game, they were amped up. Obviously, Coach Cooper does a great job, but when you haven't played a home game until December, your kids are like chomping at the bit. And I felt like you could feel that they had a jacked up crowd. They were getting going, and it was a fun atmosphere. But after
I knew
that,
they'd give you a better, I knew they'd come back and give you a little better fight against
yeah,
you.
Coop told me that they were there practicing in the morning, like getting after it. I said, "Oh man, they're going to be ready for this one." And obviously, our locker rooms were next to each other at halftime, so he was giving them the business. I figured the second half would be tough, and it was. They did a great job.
Now, two teams that I think you have seen in your jamboree travels, uh, Daytona State 67, Chipola 73. That game was played in Tallahassee. Uh, you know, Chipola hard to hit threes on. And if you don't hit threes against Chipola, it could be a really long night. Daytona hit 8 out of 32 from three, plays right into Coach Donnie Tyndall's system. Trey Wilson with 15, Noah Mindy with 12. Here's an unbelievable stat for you. Chipola, 34 for 42 from the free throw line, handling that Daytona press for 40 minutes. They had only 9 turnovers. DeMarco Middleton and Desmond Kent Jr. with 14 each for Chipola. Uh, Pretty balanced group down there in Florida. That's probably 5 or 6 teams deep. I don't know if you've had a chance to see Chipola or Daytona, but just kind of what are your thoughts on Florida or those teams?
Yeah, we scrimmaged both. Chipola was super disciplined. You could tell it was still early in the year. They're trying to find their lineups and things like that. It was a close game. Their 2-3 matchup sometimes looks like a 1-2-2 matchup, sometimes morphs into different things. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's tough. Now, the good thing is you can Google it, and he's got a lot of videos up. So that's kind of what we did to prepare for it. We went and looked at the basis of all of it. But man, they are tough and physical and gritty. And Daytona, like you said, up tempo. They just play such a smart style for their players. It's really built around their personnel, and Coach does a great job over there. So I was very interested to see how that game would go, and I really thought it could go either way. If they play later on in the season, which I'm sure they could end up in the regional tournament, it could go either way. I mean, uh, the Lee's McCray transfer at Chipola. I'm forgetting his name. Oh gosh, I had a brain fart on you. By the end, I'll try to remember it and give it to you. But I had a chance to talk to him on the phone, and he was like 14-8 over there. And from what I talking to people in Florida, he's starting to turn a corner. And they've got a couple of guys who are just playing really, really hard. So they're a scary team. They're going to make you play their style every night. They're going to play that matchup, and you're going to have to adjust to them. If you don't adjust to them, they'll just kind of punish you because they're super physical, and you're going to have to score in the half
So
court some.
physical, right? I mean,
And they get back
nothing's easy.
and they get back on defense. Like how many
Yeah.
teams in JUCO get back on defense?
I mean, it's rare when they give up a transition bucket.
Man,
Like you actually have to run your stuff and you got to earn it. They're tough. They're a really tough matchup, and you don't want to see them early in the season before you've really had a chance to put in all your stuff. I can't even imagine doing that in a jamboree. All right, I'm going to stay in your region for you. Saturday night, one of the games I was really looking forward to. Odessa traveling out to CSI. Coach Bucket from Idaho. Odessa picks up a huge win on the road, 73-66. CSI previously was undefeated. Odessa only 7 turnovers, 16 rebounds. Quez Williams, who I think is a really interesting prospect, with 18 and 11 for CSI. Ace Riser, 18 points, 5 out of 8 from three. I don't know if you had a chance to view that game, but any thoughts on Odessa CSI in general?
I didn't catch that game. I was traveling. I was going recruiting, but I got a chance to see both of them plenty. We obviously scrimmaged CSI, and they played really well against us again in the Jamboree. They're fantastic. I got a chance to meet Coach. He does a great job. Just a good guy. He hit me up a few times. Asked me my opinion on his team. I was like, I don't know why you're asking me my opinion. Y'all played great against us. And Odessa's just so physical. I love the point guard from CSI. I think he's tough. I think he's underrated. I think Division One coaches should be looking at him. He might not pass the eye test, but he's a real player. And Odessa's just so tough. Coach Bauman is a really honest person when it comes to his team. So when he tells you that he really likes his group, it's scary. I think that there's some balance that old school coaches like Coach Bauman know, like, all right, early in the year, I might have to give and take, and they may have to learn some lessons on their own. I think that's kind of the journey Odessa's been on. But they are not somebody you're going to want to play in January or February. I knew it would be a war, and I wouldn't have been shocked to see it go either way.
All right, we're going to transition to the rundown. We're going to feature some of this week's top games, at least on paper. Wednesday night, we got 3 pretty big games across the country. Number one ranked Vincennes travels to Logan, which has kind of turned into their rival over the past 5 or 6 years. Trinity Valley at Angelina, 2 rugged defensive teams, and 2 teams who sit atop the Jayhawk Conference, Independence, which might be a little bit of a surprise to some, and Butler. So anything that excites you about Wednesday night there, Coach?
Man, Independence Butler. That's going to be a fun game.
Up tempo.
And I tell you what, man, the student becomes a master. I think Eric's a great person. And I think that he's kind of mastered that style of play. And if you've never had to coach against that style, I mean, anytime you touch the ball, you got a guy up under you, a guy denying the closest couple players nearby. I mean, it's brutal and it's physical and they come at you in waves and it's just incredibly difficult to prepare for. And the funny one was watching the score between them and Garden City last week. And just really happy for Eric because I can remember him being assistant at Cali and trying to work his way up. He's just such a good person. He does a great job. Assistant does a great job too, man. Like, just really happy for them. That's going to be a great game.
Do you think because there's several teams in the conference or in the region that play a similar style, right? You got Coach DeSalm at Garden City, Donnie Jackson there at Cali, who are more up tempo, press you, deny. Does that make it a little bit easier to prepare for a game like this as a coach because you got a couple of similar type schools as opposed to if Butler was in your league where nobody really plays like that?
That's a good question. I think that they would give us a lot of fits down here, just because we're not used to seeing it. Now, ultimately, it comes down to daring the refs to call fouls at some point. Like then you complain about the foul count, of course, and it's playing that whole angle. I would be interested to see that, but they would have to deal with the length and athleticism and the physicality down here. It's a big physical league. I think that Butler would fare well watching them play in our conference. I think they would do really well. I don't know as much about the other teams. I haven't watched them as often, but I like that group. It would be interesting, and I think in their conference, I don't think Donnie like is just as much helter skelter as
He's
the other
not.
two.
Yeah, he's toned
Uh,
it back. Yeah.
yeah, but those two, man, I mean, they're just whew,
Garden
they're getting
Garden
going.
City and Butler can come after you for 40 minutes, trap everything, deny all the wings.
It's
It's
a
interesting.
nightmare. It's a nightmare to prepare for. If you're not in shape, you're in deep trouble.
So Butler has lost 3 games by a total of 3 points. So they're 3 points away, or however you want to look at it, 6 points away from being undefeated right now. I think they're 17th in the country as we record this. So certainly a team on the rise. Coach Nitch does a great job there. All right, we're going to transition to the weekend games. This is always one of my favorite little tournaments in the country. It may not even be on your radar. In Highland, they do an 8-team tournament. You play 3 games in 2 days. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Kind of the marquee matchup there on Friday. Moberly plays Division Two Macomb. So what happens here, Coach? I can see by the look on your face you're not familiar with this tournament, but it's wild. You play 1 game on Friday, but then to win the championship, you got to win 2 games on Saturday. You get a morning, evening game. What would you think about as a coach getting in 3 games in 2 days?
Is that even in the rules? Can you do that? I guess you can.
You can do it. Yeah. They do it every year in Highland. It's a cool little event. But yeah, you're gonna play a Friday night game. You're gonna come back. You're gonna play an early Saturday tip. You got maybe a 4 hour break, then you come back for a nightcap.
Makes me nervous thinking about it. Who are the other teams?
Man, that's a great question. We have Highland, we have Rock Valley. I don't have the full field. Southeastern Iowa's been in the event before, but I would say it's probably the way it's set up. It's probably going to be like Moberly Highland in the championship game would probably be how it's set up. But Macomb is a terrific basketball team. They played Vincennes really close. They were actually up, I believe, 9 points on Vincennes with a minute 10 to go and Vincennes came back to win the game. So Macomb, I think, will give Coach Smith and the Moberly Greyhounds a pretty good challenge.
That's crazy. No, I've never heard of the
Hey,
tournament.
maybe
We'll have
maybe
to
we get
follow.
Midland up there. You fly into Chicago. It's an easy flight. This time of year, it's beautiful. Your kids would love it. All right,
Two
we're gonna.
games, 2 games in one day, man. I don't know. I got to check. I got to check.
All right, we'll give you a pass on that. We're not gonna load the bus yet. All right, 2 good ones going on involving Florida teams: Daytona State, Monroe, the Mustangs, and then Jones, Mississippi, coming back off a really tough double overtime loss earlier in the week against Mississippi Gulf Coast. Takes on Coach DeMayo in Northwest Florida. I don't know if you've had a chance to see Jones or not. They're certainly in the Jamboree circuit, but Jones, Northwest Florida, that's kind of a cool game when you think about potential, at-large bids and things like that.
Yeah, potential at large or winning their regions. I mean, both of them are good enough to compete anywhere. That's two of the better teams I've seen on film. I watched maybe 4 or 5 games of that Pensacola deal, and then we scrimmaged DeMayo and them in Orlando. So I'm impressed with both teams. I think that's going to be a great game.
And then three more over the weekend. We have Indian Hills versus Mineral Area, Panola, Trinity Valley, and then Jones plays Gulf Coast for the other side of who Jones plays in that weekend tournament at Gulf Coast. So, any thoughts there on that final trifecta? Hills, Mineral, Panola, Trinity Valley, Jones, Gulf Coast.
Well, I think, Indian Hills and Mineral Area are battle tested. That's going to be a really good ball game, I think. And Panola, I just think they're doing a great job. Obviously Joe went on to Division 1, and uh, they've done a really, really nice job with that roster and trying to figure out how to be competitive. And I mean, they've been in some really good games, man. Out in Florida, who did they have beat? They had somebody beat one of the first days out in Florida.
I
That
believe it was
Pensacola.
I believe it was Chipola.
Yeah,
I have to go back and look. I can tell you real
I,
quick. I should have
um,
I have the cheat code here.
but Panola and Trinity Valley would be interesting, if Panola can handle the physicality and the length, because the length is so real when you play TVC. They're so long and athletic, they just kind of shrink the floor. And if you don't spread them out and you allow them to shrink the floor, they're really tough to deal with. And then
Yeah,
obviously
it shouldn't be
Jones, nope,
fair that he can play all three of those 6'10" kids at the same time.
gosh, they're tough
I
to
mean,
score,
when
man.
they're out there together. So Panola played Chipola really close in the first game. Chipola kind of pulled away late. They ended up winning by 14, but that game was really close down the stretch. And then the Northwest Florida game was a 15 point game. Actually, I'm sorry. It helps if I just gave you the Trinity Valley score. We want to look at our good folks at Panola. It was a 6 point game versus Chipola, 3 point game versus Northwest Florida. So there you
It
go.
was in Northwest Florida. That was the game I remember them.
Yeah, they played two really close ones there. And then, that game, that third day, that's so tough when you play three in 3 days. Gulf Coast got them by 20 on the third day. But, who knows? Maybe Trinity Valley runs the table in the regular season. You're the only team that beats them. Kind of looks good for the old folks at Midland.
Yeah, I mean they're really good. We were lucky to catch them early in the season. They're so well coached, man. I will say on that Jones game though, nobody can question their schedule. I understand Mississippi might not be thought of as one of the best regions, but they play good basketball over there, and their schedule is unbelievable out of conference. I don't think you could play a better schedule than what they've played.
Yeah, they have absolutely challenged themselves. All right, that is the rundown. Stay with us after this commercial break. We're going to get into the spotlight with Coach.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now in the spotlight with Coach Isaac Fontenot-Amedee, head coach Midland. First full season as head coach of Midland, currently 13-0, ranked number 3 in the country. Headline win was over then number one Trinity Valley, 75-62. Coach, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, you were the head coach at Clarendon. I thought you were one of the favorites to win the national title in the COVID year, the tournament that didn't happen. Just 30 seconds. How confident were you in Clarendon making a deep run, Final Four national title with that group?
Man, very confident, just simply because of the kind of people we had, and we loved each other. That was like once in a lifetime type of team. That's the best way I can put it.
That's awesome. There's so many people have the questions of like the what if, what would have happened in that tournament. I can't believe how many conversations I've had that throughout the years. All right, this year's team 13-0. What has surprised you most about this group and where you're at today? And the answer might be nothing.
Um, I think every year is a little bit of a surprise. You kind of go into it, and for me, I want to adjust what we do to who we have. And so every year is new. We don't coach the same way. We don't have the same things that we teach or the same values. We just kind of shift. And you just don't know what's going to happen. So you get through the Jambos, that's like one whole season. The preseason's like one season. I mean, by the time you get to Christmas, you've been through 4 seasons. So that's the beautiful thing about the level. You don't ever know what's going to happen. And, just when you think you do, you figure out you really don't. So I would say early on, I didn't know that they would buy in so much and that they'd be okay with their minutes. I don't know that we really have, because these minutes in junior college, let's be honest about that statistically, that's very inaccurate when you look at it online. I don't really think we have anybody playing more than 21, 22 minutes a game. For those guys to buy into that, be excited for each other, be happy for each other, that's been the most pleasant part. I'll say that.
Winning cures a lot of the minutes conversations too. All right. One of the things that has really interested me in your squad is you guys have a plethora of guards. And I'm thinking to myself, how is Coach Isaac getting all these guys in and out of the game, keeping them happy? Like, what is your just overall thoughts about roster constructions? You got limits on how many kids you can take. At some point this off season, where you like, hey, the best guys that I can sign, a whole lot of them are guards, and I'm just going to take the best players available and we'll figure it out down the road.
It's funny, man. I had two really good guards that I thought were going to be studs. One double signed, just not knowing what he was doing. He's averaging like 20 a game at a D2, great player. And another went to Chicago State. And so we kind of rerouted things to replace them. And by the end, I oversigned guards. Last year, I thought we had some talented guards, but we didn't really have point guards. So I wanted to make sure we didn't have that same problem again. We all know what the definition of insanity is. So I was trying not to go crazy over here without any point guards.
Well, I mean, I think it's a great thing. I thought, watching that game against Trinity Valley, it seemed like you had 3 point guards on the floor at all time. It allowed you to spread the floor, attack them. I mean, I think that's going to serve you well for the second half of the season here. Just give me some overall thoughts about your evaluation of the region. What is the state of junior college basketball in West Texas?
Well, I think the north, the north part of our region doesn't always get the respect it deserves. We have really good teams in in that conference. I coached at Hill College from 13 to 15, so I know the coaches, I know the teams, and sometimes they're overshadowed by the teams out west. I do think, for the most part, not everybody, because I mean, there's some teams up in the north part of the league that play great schedules. For the most part, we all play so much tougher schedules on our side, and I think that probably hurts them. But man, the North has great teams every year too. I'll take a second because they don't ever get enough love. And I got friends over there still coaching. So kudos to them, man. Colin looks great in one weekend to beat Odessa and New Mexico. Shows you they could go play with anybody. There's just some great teams on that side too. On our side, we talked about South Plains earlier. Like our sample size, as far as seeing what they can or can't do, is still small. But they're so talented. They're so skilled. And Coach Boone has had so many good teams back to his days at Angelo State, where he gets really good players and he finds a way to develop them and get them to buy in. And we all know how great of a Coach Bauman is, one of the best in the country. And his roster is just tough and gritty. Howard is gritty. They got probably one of the best low post scorers in the country in Terry Copeland. And Coop does a great job. All his guys are in the right spots on defense. I mean, I go through and I watch these games. New Mexico gets after you. I think they're even tougher than they were last year. They're a little bit more balanced. They're super physical, and I think they're poised to make a run. It's going to be really interesting to kind of see who beats who and how everything shakes out.
What is kind of the biggest improvement that you're looking from your guys to really make a run at a national title at Hutch?
Well, try to win the day like everybody says. I know you get tired of hearing that, but ultimately, if you can add a few details every day, like, hey, like we know we're supposed to be on defense, but can you get there quicker? Can you talk a little earlier? Can we add? Can we stack? in all areas, especially rebounding, defending, and transition offense and defense. Those are the three areas that we're focused on. Because I think in junior college, that's what wins you games. You got to guard, you got to board, you got to step other teams in transition. You got to get the ball to the cup. Because there's so many parts of these JUCO games where you can get downhill and transition. And to me, the team that goes and wins it most years, they have parts like even TVC last year. Yeah, they were a grinded out team, but it was time to run. You know what? They got downhill, man. They got to the cup. And these are the areas that we've really, been focusing on, but we're going to ramp it up a little bit more coming back from Christmas break. And their ability to add those details and add chemistry, I think that's going to be what defines the rest of our season.
All right, I'm going to ask Brandon's question. I don't even know that I'm contractually allowed to do this, but here it is. You got a big road win somewhere, and you say, you know what, guys, we're going to celebrate tonight. And off in the distance, you see the soft neon glow, the red and green of Chili's. You say, guys, we're pulling into Chili's tonight. What's Coach Fontenot-Amedee getting at Chili's?
Man, probably whatever the guys eat. Whatever
You,
they eat that night, man.
it's
We're
burger,
getting
fajita,
burgers.
triple dipper.
I like the triple dipper, man. Give me some of those mott sticks. Those are elite. I'll go with that.
We'll take it. You're a team player, whatever the guys want.
That's it, man. I'm just along for the ride at this point.
All right, guys, that's Coach Isaac Fontenot-Amedee. Stay with us after this commercial break. We're going to get into the grind.
For the last 87 years, the NJCAA has provided academic and athletic opportunities to thousands of student athletes. However, several rules make it more challenging for two-year college transfers. Recently, 16 national coaches associations, led by the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, sent a request for change to NCAA leadership to make the rules the same for all transfers. We commend their leadership and stand together in support of same game, same rules.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We're going to get into the grind where we talk about one of the top players in junior college basketball. Since we got Coach on the show, we're going to talk about one of Brandon and I's favorite player, Bo Hearns from Midland, 6'8", 210, originally from Indianapolis. He started all 13 games for you this year, 13.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 76% free throw shooter. We got to have a good free throw shooter if they're going to appear on the grind. 3 20-point games for you. Talk a little bit about Bo and what he brings to the table.
Man, I thought last year Bo was one of the best players in the country. His whole thing has always been consistency. We already played Snow last year in the regular season, and they had a great big man that's over at Oakland. Fantastic player, but I think Bo had 35 in that one, and I'm not sure that kid scored. Maybe he just had an off game, or maybe Bo was really good. I don't know, but he was pretty good that day. Same thing. We played Frank Phillips at home. We were a little outmatched. Matty Traore over at our place. And these are the games I tell coaches to watch. You know what I mean? Like pull the clips. These are some of the better players in junior college.
Yeah, you want to see good on good, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then he's had some games where he wasn't as consistent as he should be. I think that's really improved this year. I think he's matured and he's come a long way. And the thing that people don't understand is just how good of a teammate he is. He's an everyday guy. He's just graduates in December, semester early, 3 semesters he's done with school. He's just fantastic, man. Super athletic, can guard 1 through 5, can score from all 3 levels legitimately. People say that like too often, but Bo has a pull up, a catch and shoot. He has all these different things. And I think the more at the 4-year level he gets into that 3 and D type of mindset, the more dynamic he's going to be. He has a chance to play for a long time, man.
Do you have like a 1990s NBA player comp for us? That's kind of Brandon and I's love language. That's where we like to be. I'll even give you early 2000s since you're younger than us.
Give me Desmond Mason. Give me Desmond Mason.
Okay, I like that.
Now, not as athletic, but Mason wasn't necessarily the most skilled guys, but like similar. They're just like electric physically. They get downhill, way above the rim, super explosive. He kind of reminds me of that.
And Bo's improved as a shooter, right? From when he first got on campus to where he is now, or is or is that just me watching on film thinking, it looks a little nicer than it did when he first started here?
He's improved for sure, and I think his shot selection's improved. A lot of it
That
goes
makes a
back to
big difference,
maturity.
right?
It does, man. Yeah, you're a better shooter if you take better shots, no question. But like with him, it's more off the catch, less off the bounce. More rhythm shots, not just hoisting it just because you're open, knowing the difference. He's really mature, man.
All right, we're going to transition to the show real quick. We're going to talk about a current NCAA player who was in JUCO last year, Antonio Chol from New Mexico, who was at Garden City last year, originally from Buffalo, New York. They list him as a guard now, who was everybody listed him as a center last year in JUCO, 6'9", 215, 11 points in 25 minutes, just putting up some really good numbers at New Mexico. Seems like a really good fit for him. I don't know if you've ever come across Antonio in any of your jamborees or anything like that, but probably a player that you would like to coach.
Yeah, we actually played them last year in the Jambo. We did in Wichita. I was really impressed. Athletic, could really shoot. It was a jamboree, so nobody was really playing defense, but he could really score. Very, very skilled and just smooth, man. Really talented kid.
Sometimes as a 6'9" player in JUCO, you just get like pigeonholed as, oh, he's a 4, he's a 5, just because everybody else is 6'5". But it seems like as he's transitioned to more of a, big wing type of role, he's flourishing a little bit. That's probably naturally who he wants to be out on the perimeter a little bit more, handle the ball, shoot from perimeter. But congratulations to him. 11 points in 25 minutes is really good numbers for a kid in his first year playing at a pretty high level at New Mexico. Stay with us. After this break, we'll be back with our final thoughts that we call the sixth man.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. Really appreciate Coach Fontenot-Amedee pinch hitting for Brandon this afternoon. This is going to be our last episode before Christmas, so hopefully we've highlighted some great games to watch this week as we head into the Christmas break. But just want to wish you and your family, on behalf of Brandon, just a wonderful holiday season. And we'll be back with you after the first of the year, taking you all the way to the selection show for Hutchinson, Kansas, and the NJCAA Men's Division I National Tournament. And we'll be with you throughout the tournament as we talk about the best sporting event in all of the country, men's junior college basketball. Hope you and your family have a great holiday break, and we'll be back with you after the first of the year. Take care.